Good morning, pet parents, RVers, and soon to be one after this event. I'm Noreen, and it's my pleasure to welcome you all to RVing Gears. I hope you all had your breakfast and signed in with a big smile. I'm sure everyone here is going to explore new things, learn a lot about RV life, and have tons of fun today. So I can't wait to get this started. So to begin our session, we have with us Matt Kavnar, founder of Waggle. And Matt Canvart founded Waggle in 2015 on a mission to improve the life of his dog, Stella. After Stella passed away, Matt found the community that had gathered around Waggle to be supportive and helpful, that it became the heart of the company it is today. Now Waggle operates with a mission to keep pets safe, healthy, and cared for. Waggle offers peace of mind to pet parents through its various pet tech products, helping your best friend live a healthier, happier life. Matt is currently a partner at 54 Ventures Incubator, where he builds new businesses to help people. So I'll pass it on to you, Matt.
Hey, there I am. I just needed to unmute myself. Thank you so much for the introduction, Noreen. And sorry, I was a little quiet there for a second. Technology still befuddles me. But yes, it's so good to see everyone here today. And I'm happy to kick off the RVing Gear session because I'm sure you're going to love hearing from all our speakers and panelists today as they offer their insights and tips about aspects of traveling with pets and RVing. As Noreen mentioned, Waggle really started as a social platform for people to share about their pets and animals. And I used to go on and post about my dog, Stella, all the time. And after she passed away, everybody was so helpful. I thought, oh, we just have to make this into a much bigger company that's all about supporting pet owners, supporting pet parents, and helping their pets live a happier, healthier life. And that's when we partnered up with Siva and the team, and they've built these amazing pet products, pet cameras, pet trackers, all of these things that, I didn't have this technology, even though it wasn't that long ago when Stella was in my life, but it would have been really transformational for us. And so we're so excited to bring to you all these different technologies that can help improve the quality of care for your pet. As Noreen said, at Waggle, our main mission is to offer peace of mind to you through various pet tech products, helping you and your best friend live a healthier, happier life. You're not only going to learn from our experts today, but we're going to be announcing quite a few giveaways and gift coupons to let you explore Waggle products and services. I love them. I want you to try them because I think you're going to love them too. In fact, I always like to bring on all my live streams. This Stella was a golden retriever, and she looked exactly like this, we thought. And we also gave her, this was her little toy Stella that she could carry around. We gave it to her towards the end of her life when she was really in the last stages of the cancer that affects many golden retrievers when they're 13, 14. And, we just spent so much time traveling around with her, and we'd always have to, come up with all sorts of little different hacks to keep an eye on her, maybe a baby monitor, that sort of thing. But it's just been so exciting to work with Waggle to kind of come up with products that are more than just stuffed animals, but that you can give and use with your pet that really make their lives better. So I'm going to kick it back to Noreen, but me and Stella here, or Representative Stella, the spirit of Stella, are with you guys on this journey, and so excited that you're doing the webinar, and hope you all have a great time today. Back over to you, Noreen.
Okay, thank you, Matt. Hey, pet lovers, once again, welcome to the RVing Gears event, and we are ready for 2 awesome sessions on pets and RVing. But before we dive into the sessions, we do have some awesome giveaways today, so please stick around and we will be choosing some lucky winners from the audience. Our giveaways include pet cameras, pet monitors, free online vet sessions, Amazon gift cards, and we do have a grand winner that can take home $1,000 worth of Waggle products and services. So stay tuned and we'll get back to that shortly. But first things first, I want to give you all a heads up on what we will explore in the next hour and hour and a half. We have Rachel, Patrick, and Patty with us. And those who are crazy about RVing and pets are probably already familiar with these stars. So our first session is Paws and Wheels, and the speaker is Rachel Johnson. And Rachel will be talking about traveling with our fur babies, how to choose a pet-friendly RV, and special travel tips for those traveling with senior dogs. After her session, we will answer questions from the audience. And in the interest of time, please keep your questions short and to the point so we can get through as many questions as possible. So I'm going to introduce Rachel before handing it over to her. Rachel Johnson and her husband are full-time RVers since 2011, and they travel across the U.S. with their two lovely dogs, Digby and Brickle. And they're on a mission to raise awareness about homeless animals and encourage people to adopt dogs from rescue and shelter homes. They are passionate about traveling, pet parenting, and helping fellow pet parents enjoy pet parenting by doing how-to videos about cooking and other aspects of traveling with dogs. So please join me in on welcoming Rachel with a round of applause. And over to you, Rachel.
It's nice to be here, and I actually have the main part of our family, Nate, here with us.
Well, bow wow, everybody. How's everybody doing today? Good, I hope. Yeah, the two traveling dogs, Ray and Nate, and Brickle and Digby, were, as Digby snorts, you probably didn't hear that, but we certainly do as he's laying right next to us, as our dogs are with us all the time. And when we decided that we were going to start full-time travel, the first thing that we wanted to try to get our heads around is what type of RV would best fit not only us, Ray and Nate, but also Brickle and Digby. I think it's sometimes something that people just feel like, well, your dog's going to be fine in any type of RV that I choose. And that's certainly the case. Your dog wants to be with you. He doesn't want to be left out, he or she. They want to travel with you wherever you might go. But there's also some things that you can do when you're first choosing an RV to actually make the whole experience for you and your pet a lot better. Isn't that right?
Yeah, because, I mean, deciding to travel in an RV is one thing. Deciding to travel with your pet is quite another. It's exciting, but the fun part to me is knowing really, when it comes down to it, any RV that you choose, you can adapt to your dog. But there are ones that we prefer and that you might prefer. So we are going to go through those for you.
That's right. We're going to be talking about different classes of RVs. You know, we always talk about how an RV certainly will fit a person based on the type of travel that they're going to do. But we also have to consider taking that dog along with us, and will that same RV that would fit us if we were by ourselves fit that of the travel that we're going to be doing with ourselves as well as our pets. And so the different classes we're going to break down for you and try to talk about the advantages and the disadvantages. And there's one thing to keep in mind. Every RV will have an advantage over another one. However, those advantages can also be disadvantages, depending on the type of travel that you're going to do. Are you going to be doing more weekend travel with you and your pet? Are you going to be doing more adventure style travel where it's off grid or in these very remote places? Are you going to be a full-time traveler with your pet? All of that will play a part in the type of RV that you choose for you and your dog. The first class that we're going to talk about, and just to keep in mind, as you probably know, RVs are broken down into classes. It doesn't mean that one is better than the other. but it just means that there's different styles of RVs. And the first one we're going to be talking about is a Class A type of RV. These are known as motorhomes. These typically are the largest of the self-motorized RVs. We think of those as those big traveling buses going down the road in some cases. Some are much smaller. But again, a Class A is going to be more on a bus style or a truck style chassis, and it's going to be something that you drive along with your dog. Now, this was the type of RV that we chose when we first started traveling with Brickell and Digby full time. It was a Class A diesel pusher, and it was fantastic, wasn't it?
Yeah, we really liked it for the room factor, and it was just easier that we were all together on travel days. You know, we could stop at a rest area, get up, get a snack, go to the refrigerator. It was awesome. We loved the Class A.
Yeah, it was incredible. What we liked about it more than anything else was the fact that you are fully immersed in this traveling experience with you and your dog. You know, you're there. You get up in the morning. If you want to go somewhere, you just jump in the front seats. You secure your dog, and you're off. And
it's not that easy.
Okay, that was maybe an exaggeration. She might have me on that. There is a lot of work that goes into it, but it certainly is just an amazing amount of fun. And you just feel like you're truly almost in like a land yacht, sailing the oceans, only these are roads. And the big windshield really as well accentuates that travel experience. And as she mentioned, it's certainly not the easiest to just jump up and you take off. You do want to unhook things. But at the same time, we found that it was one of the more easier units to be able to set up and break down. And I think that's an important point when we're considering any of these because of the stress that it puts on your dog setting up and taking down.
Yeah, time factor for our dogs is everything. So when we get to a campsite, they are excited. They want to get out. They want to see where we are. If we have to take forever to set up, it's not easy for us with the dogs. But what we thought we loved in the Class A that we had for 4 years actually ended up being a little harder on our one dog, Brickell, as he got older. So with the windshield, it was a little bit much for him with his vision problems. He didn't particularly like the motions and the jarring factor of the motorhome. So ultimately we did change, but that's the great thing about RV life is you can make adjustments.
Yeah, and as well, another disadvantage if you're trying to do some of that adventure travel that we mentioned at the beginning, some of the Class A's are a little bit large for you to get to some of the more prime spots for you and your dog. You'll be spending more time in probably RV parks. We were able to get, for us, in some wonderful state parks as well as national parks, but off-grid as well. We did quite a bit. Ours was equipped for that. But again, they are larger, so it depends on your comfort level in driving this for you and your dog. Now, we move on to a Class B. A Class B couldn't be too much more different than the Class A's because this is based more on a van style chassis. These are much, much smaller. These are ones that are become very popular with adventure style travelers traveling in the country with their pets, and they are wonderful. And the downside of the Class A is the upside to the Class B because you can get anywhere you want to go with the Class B, and it is very simple to set up and to take down. This is more of a car style in many ways, so it may be something that your pet is more used to if you're getting into RVing.
And that being said, a Class B is a great way to start RV travel if you're just starting out.
Yeah, so they are an excellent option. The downside to them, as we've mentioned, the upsides and the downsides always kind of counteract each other. It's the size, because if you're considering full-time travel, I will tell you that unless you have some very small dogs, it can get tight. You're talking about something that averages around 20 feet in length, sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less, but it certainly can be very, very tight. So full-time travel could be somewhat difficult, but again, some wonderful aspects of the Class B. Class C's, now, this is almost like the best of the Class A and the Class B's. These are based more on a van or truck style chassis. These are much larger. These are easier to drive than a Class A for many people because they do have more of a truck front end or a van front end. They are much larger than the Class Bs, but typically smaller than the Class As. They come with slide outs in most cases, so you do get a feeling of room when you're set up. Again, it's can be a combination, so maybe your pet is not as anxious, transitioning from a house into this type of RV.
Yeah, what I'll say too about the Class C, it's very hard to get reservations now because so many people are enjoying this lifestyle, and we're happy about that, but reservations are hard. So the larger that your RV is, the harder time you're going to have finding a space that fits you. So with a Class C, if you're looking for last minute reservations, this might be a good option for you.
Yeah, and now I will say again, this is kind of the intermediary of the self-motorized vehicles. They're great. For us, similar situation with Brickle not liking his house moving. These can be a little bit unstable as they're going down the road, similar to a Class A, not quite as bad, but certainly not as, I would say, car-like as the Class B. So if your pet is prone to having anxiety with motion, these, again, may be something that, that you want to kind of avoid. But the best thing to do with any of these is to actually test drive them with your pet. All of these RV dealers certainly realize the market that exists with people that care for their pets. And so they're going to let you test drive something. Take them along, your cat, your dog, whatever the case may be, your rabbit, your elk, your tiger. Please don't have a tiger. Please don't have a tiger. They should be in the wild. But you get to my point. A turtle, maybe. But you get my point that you want to make sure that you test drive these. Now we're going to move on into the towable type of RVs. The next one is a fifth wheel. Now this is what we transitioned from our Class A into when we thought that travel was beginning to be a little bit too much for Brickle with the movement of the Class A. The fifth wheel is usually one of the largest of the towables. Ours is about 40 feet long. That is big. There are bigger, but to us that is big. It's also about 13 foot 3 inches high, and that makes for some wonderful living. We are full-time travelers, so we live in it. And with Brickle and Digby being rather large dogs, it provides us with all the room that we need. And it does feel much like a home with all the amenities of the home, doesn't it?
Yeah, I really like the fifth wheel. I like the room factor that it has. However, setting up seems to take us a lot longer.
Yes.
But I would say that for us with our senior dogs, it actually has been, it has saved our RV lifestyle, because the way that we were going in the motorhome was just too stressful on the dogs. When we changed to the fifth wheel, they were able to ride in a truck separate than their house. And for them, that made all the difference. They were comfortable, they were familiar, their house wasn't moving, they were just comfortable. And so that makes it better for us.
Now the downside, as I mentioned, that size is wonderful. But if you are expecting to get into these remote locations with that type of a unit, it's difficult. More than anything else, it's the height.
Or you can be like us and you can try to go up a mountain, think you can do it, and you can't.
Well, let's make it clear. We made it up the mountain.
We did.
We didn't make it under the tree.
No.
But that's a story for another time. So the point being is that it is very difficult, especially with the height on some of these, what they would refer to as a full profile fifth wheel. That means that they're super high. Possibly if you're considering this and you want to still get into some nicer spots or some more remote areas, consider some of the smaller fifth wheels, and especially consider the height of these type of units, because again, tree limbs at every type of RV park, every type of state park, national park can be an issue. And again, time-wise, setting up, taking down can be somewhat of an issue, but still a wonderful thing for you and your dog if you're considering full-time travel especially.
And if you have senior dogs, I will mention that usually the stairs into the fifth wheel are extremely steep.
Yes.
So if you have a senior dog or two, like we do, a ramp really helps them to get up and down. And I would say that this is an essential part, almost as essential as a Waggle pet monitor.
Yes, for sure, for sure. Now, the next thing that we're going to be considering is the travel trailer. Now, that is something that's more of a standard style that most people are familiar with. And the travel trailers are wonderful, but they have their advantages and disadvantages as well. The first thing we'll talk about with the travel trailer, again, is more of a simplistic way of travel versus the fifth wheel. They don't tow as good as the fifth wheel. However, they typically are going to be shorter, and you're going to be able to get in with your dog to some of these, or your cat or whatever, into some of these more great places that you've always wanted to see and that you've always wanted to have your pet experience as well.
And if you have an SUV, sometimes they're light enough for you to be able to tow those as well.
Yes, so the travel trailer, again, wonderful option. Many people, just when they look at all the old postcards of people that were you're traveling the country with the travel trailers, it's more of a nostalgic way of travel. And that may be something for you and your pet that really appeals to you. And they do have quite a bit of room. Many of them have slide outs now. So something to consider. Also, they're a little bit more inexpensive compared to the fifth wheels. But again, they have their downsides, don't they?
Yeah. What would you say is the downside?
When she says, what would you say there's a downside, that means she forgot what the downside was. Well, I'm going to tell you, it really is the towing aspect for me. The towing aspect of a travel trailer versus a fifth wheel, there's really no comparison. They can be difficult sometimes to back up and to get around, even though that they're a little bit again shorter than the fifth wheel. The smoothness of the tow isn't nearly as good as the fifth wheel. The other issue can be their size. Again, if you're talking about full-time travel, sometimes these can be a little cramped. They're going to have less headroom than, say, the fifth wheels, or sometimes even the Class A's. So again, there's some downsides to them, but still a wonderful thing. The next thing that we're going to be talking about is a toy hauler. Now, these truly are gigantic. What's the difference between a toy hauler and a fifth wheel? Well,
you can have a dog room.
You can have a dog room. Yes, that's true. You had nothing to say about the downsides of a travel trailer, but you know about dog rooms. Yeah, the dog room. So a toy hauler is pulled the same way as a typical fifth wheel would be, with a fifth wheel hitch and a fifth wheel connection going into the bed of the truck versus the bumper of an SUV or a truck. But the toy hauler, the difference would be that in the back area, typically, there's going to be a large open area, anywhere between 8 to say 13, I've even seen 15 feet of open garage space, they would like to refer to it as. That primarily is made for people to pull sometimes small vehicles, motorcycles, those type of things, toys. That's typically what it is, adult toys that they're bringing up into these units to go to the desert or to the beach or wherever the case may be. But for a pet owner, the thing I would like to bring out, as you've already mentioned, is the fact that you can use this space for your pet, like a giant play area.
I love it. Can you imagine all the dog toys you can put back there? Wow.
All of the dog hair as well. But these are great because you can clean down the walls, you can clean down the floors as well. They're made a little bit more for dirt, as you can imagine. The other great thing about the toy haulers is a lot of times they have decks, almost like having a porch for you and your pet. Yeah,
Brickle loves to be outside, but honestly, in a lot of campsites, it's not that great for him to sit outside. There's too much going on. You have to be with your pet if your pets are outside. What I really like about the toy haulers is it gives you an option to be inside but outside. So he can still watch the goings on of the campground. He can still be his happy camper self outside. But we have that little bit of extra security to keep them in with us.
Now, again, as great as these are, there are some downsides. First and foremost is its size. As we mentioned, these can be anywhere between 40, 45 feet. There are a couple of shorter ones out there as well, but they are long, they are tall, and so just like the full profile fifth wheels, they can be difficult to get into spaces. The other issue is that even though you have such a large space, you're talking about somewhat of a condensed floor plan, because now you've taken, say, 10, 13 feet, and that's all garage space. Now you've had to take the rest of the RV living area and condense it. So sometimes, even though they're huge, the living space can be somewhat confined compared to, say, like a full profile fifth wheel. The other thing I would mention is, just as Ray has mentioned with the fifth wheel in general, is the height. Yes, you're talking about something that typically is up on top of the frame versus a motorhome built more around the frame, and it's difficult.
It's big.
It's well, but as far as like the dogs getting in and out, you know, it's tough. And so for Brickell and Digby, again, the steps are an issue. The other thing is, on a toy hauler, just as in a full profile fifth wheel, you're going to have steps up into the front area. So once again, the more steps, the more problems sometimes for senior dogs. So that's something to consider as well. But overall, they are wonderful. Again, size-wise, the porches are great, and those pet rooms, as Ray has called them, is wonderful as well. Now, the last couple that we'll just kind of briefly mention, these are great options for certain people. A folding camping trailer. That's awesome, because that is great for weekend trips and everything like that. These basically are a towable trailer that the top pops up on, and it's more of a canvas style at the top, but it creates a lot of space. And for a lot of people, this is an option where they want to transition, say, from a tent into more of an RV. This is a wonderful option for them. These are, again, very tight. They're not going to be as much of a full-time option because of weather resistance and those type of things, but wonderful. The other thing is a truck camper. Now, if you've got to pick up and, again, you want to transition, say, from more of a tent-style camping or have mobility, but you don't really want to sacrifice your truck that you already have for, say, a Class B, a truck camper can be a great option. I see so many people that travel the country with these, with their pets, and they love them. Downside is they are rather tight. I mean, super tight. And again, no matter where you go, you're going to have that on the back of the truck. It can be a little bit cumbersome. But those are the typical ones. There's obviously a lot of others. School bus conversions, people love. Buses in general, people love. The super large tour buses and things like that. Those are all great options. And everything for you to consider. But some of the things that are going to be in all RVs, we would like to kind of wrap up by talking about a couple of those things, and that's the options that you're going to find in these RVs. And I think number one for considering when you're purchasing an RV that you're going to travel with your pet is flooring.
Yeah, Brickell and Digby, as they've gotten older, they will not walk on tile floors or anything slippery. So, you know, the flooring for us was a big deal. We did have to put in runners so that they felt comfortable walking from area to area. So even if your dog is like that as well, which I hope some other dogs are like that, not just mine,
right,
you can make adjustments for them in order for them to feel comfortable.
And also the type of furniture that you're going to have in there. A lot of it is cloth. Some people don't like cloth. Some people like cloth because you can clean off stains that could happen with a pet. We have more of a vinyl in ours, which is great because Brickell and Digby, you know, are not ones that claw anything. If you have a cat, that could be sometimes an issue, but we also use like a lot of covers.
We have a lot of covers.
We have a lot of sheets. We look like grandma's house, I'll put it that way. There's sheets on everything. But something for you to consider as well. And then, of course, a generator. If you have some of the fifth wheels and things like that, you may be equipped with a generator already, Class A's. But if you don't have that, you definitely want to consider buying an auxiliary generator because, again, making sure that your pet is comfortable and safe. That's why we're on here today with Waggle. And it's so important that you have power at all times because, again, temperature changes, the weather can change very quickly, and it's something that you have to consider. But we will say this, we're just happy that there's people out there like you that want to travel, want to have adventures, not by yourself, but with your pet. People that care so much for their pet that they are considering their feelings, what they need as they're purchasing an RV. And so we applaud you. We thank you, and we can't wait to see some of you out there with you and your pet on the open road.
And if I had anything to say about the RV lifestyle that's made it easier and more enjoyable for us in the long run, it's being flexible and being prepared. So whether that's getting their meals, their snacks ready ahead of time, making sure that they get what they need first, even before we do, that's made our trips more enjoyable. Keeping the destinations in mind that they love to go to, that we have learned their personalities, especially so much being with each other 24 hours a day in the past 5 years. We know what places they like. So keeping your dog in mind, like Nate said, it means everything to us, and we appreciate all you pet parents out there who care enough for their dogs to RV, to travel with their dogs, and to do that safely. And Waggle is a big part of our journey and a big part of our way to keep safe on the road with Brickle and Digby.
And so if there's any questions or anything like that anybody would have for us, we would be happy to let the dogs answer them.
All right, thank you. Rachel, if you can still stay on, because we do have some questions that we're going to ask. I do want to welcome everybody who's watching in from Facebook and YouTube. And thank you, everyone, for keeping the message box full of life. We did get a whole bunch of questions, and we handpicked a few due to time constraint. But before we get into the questions, we are going to do a quick poll. So we'll be launching that in just a second. Okay, thank you everyone for participating in the poll. So we're going to get into the questions. So Rachel, we did have a question about food to give dogs during summer and winter time while RVing.
Sure. Well, they're both totally different. So summer, our main concern would be keeping our dogs cool, the right temperature, and keeping them hydrated. So we like to make homemade popsicles. So you can get unsalted chicken broth. You can pick their favorite sugar-free juice, and you can freeze those into ice cube trays if you want to make it that easy. You can put it into their food when you serve them dinner or as a snack. So that's a great way. We also like to make little smoothies for the dogs, frozen unsweetened yogurt. You want to make sure that you stay away from any artificial sweeteners with that. But in the wintertime, we actually like to make our dogs soup. So you shouldn't give your dog anything hot. We'll just say that right off. It should be room temperature, whatever dish you're serving your dog. But we do like to make a soup for them. Even though we're vegan, we make our dogs a chicken soup. So we'll use chicken breast and dill, white rice, unsalted broth. You can make it as simple or as complicated as you want. Turmeric is a great addition to any meal in the wintertime because it's going to warm up your dog's immune system. And so any spices like basil, cilantro, parsley, those would be great to add in any type of soups. And really adding any fresh food to your dog's just dinner time and meal time in general is just a wonderful thing you can do. We've been feeding our dogs homemade food for the past 10 years. And we've even been able to do this on the road full time. So we like to package their meals ahead of time so that when we get to the campsite, they're ready to eat. We don't have to do any prep. So it's all about the prep for us. And as they've gotten older, we have a lot more supplements that we'd like to add to their food as well. But there's some great homemade things that you can find for your dog. And if you're concerned about an ingredient being dog safe, just go to the ASPCA website and you can check their list.
Great, thank you. And our second question is, do you have any advice about preparation to leave pets home alone?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why we're talking about, Waggle in general. In an RV, if you're at an RV park or if you're boondocking or whatever the case, electricity is always going to be an issue, and you want to make sure that you have a pet monitor that's actually going to work. You want to make sure that you're going to have some type of connection, obviously, for that pet monitor as well from an electrical standpoint. A lot of times you can run on battery power, so that's going to keep the monitor working fine. But what it's not going to do is not going to run your air conditioner. And so if you're leaving your pet alone in the RV, you have to have it because you're going to be gone. Electricity is very, very spotty in almost every RV park that we've ever been to. Even if you have a generator, these can malfunction and those type of things. You need to know if that is no longer supporting the air conditioner. The air conditioner can also malfunction. We are prime examples of how an RV can have air conditioning malfunctions, it seems like every day. I mean, that's the way that our other RV was. They were older air conditioners and they broke all of the time. And so it's so vital and important. And I'd say that's the number one thing. And having a pet monitor that works, I mean, obviously we're on here for Waggle, but we're on here for a reason because it does work. We've tried other ones in the past that they malfunctioned just as much as the air conditioners did. And so it wasn't reliable for us and we were constantly worried and we really didn't want to leave them alone. But I would say having a Waggle pet monitor is the number one thing. The second thing I would mention, and just as important, is water. I mean, making sure that your dog or your cat or whatever has a full water dish. Now, sometimes that can be a little bit unnerving because you don't want to return to accidents, but we're talking about the well-being of your pet. And so making sure that there's food and water if it's going to be close to their feeding time. Those are the two things that I would say. What about you, Ray?
Well, there's times that we have to run out and get supplies and we have to leave them for an hour or two. I hate it. I will say that I absolutely hate it. And before Waggle, I was worried the entire time. And now I can get real-time alerts on my phone and I know immediately if there's a problem so that we can get back. And so this to me is the first thing that you need if you're going to be traveling with your pet.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. We're going to be moving to the giveaways, but before we do have another quick video for you to all watch.
Made just for your pooch. Whether you are traveling in an
All right, folks, so it's time for our first set of giveaways. Our first winner today is David Oliver. You get the cool and awesome Waggle pet camera and feed dispenser. So congratulations, David. We hope you like the gift, and we'll be reaching out to you shortly after our event today to get your shipping address so we can send you the gift. And our second winner is Diane Hamas. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. You're our second winner, and you get the cool and awesome Waggle pet monitor. So congratulations, Diane. We hope you enjoy the gift as well, and we'll be reaching out to you shortly after the event so that we can get your shipping address and send you the gift. So I believe we have another poll. Okay, thank you everyone for participating. We're going to move on to Patrick and Patty. Patrick and Patty McCormick are full-time RVers, and they travel with their two cute dogs, Truman and Bess. They are also full-time educators and do a lot of travel videos on YouTube, and they do it on various aspects of RVing and related topics. They are the go-to experts for anything related to RVing and RV gadgets. So I'm sure you will enjoy their session and learn a lot about RVing stuff. And I'll hand it off to Patrick and Patty.
There we go. Hi, everybody. I'm Patrick.
I'm Patty.
I've got Truman right here.
And this is Little Bess.
Unfortunately, they're a little sleepy this afternoon, but our channel is Travels with Delaney. We started our YouTube channel about 4.5 years ago, and most people think our last name is Delaney, but it's not.
Delaney was our Cocker Spaniel, and when you name a channel, when we started, we thought, well, she'll always be with us. We traveled with her everywhere, but we didn't realize that she had cancer, and about 6 months later, she passed away. So we kept the name in honor of her.
So anyway, we are not full-time RVers, actually.
Yeah.
We're part-time RVers. We get to go out in the summer months and pretend we're full-time RVers because we're both educators, as Noreen mentioned. And so today what we wanted to do was answer the three biggest questions we have been getting over the last year and a half and try to share just a little bit of information with you on RVing in general. Now, we were really excited when Waggle reached out to us because, quite frankly, Waggle has changed the way we RV.
Exactly. We don't have to worry about these two guys.
I'm not sure I understand.
When we are in our camper and go away from our camper, like to go to the grocery or to do something without them. Usually they go with us, but if we can't take them with us, we now have some security with Waggle.
Yeah, it used to drive Patty nuts because we'd go out to dinner, we'd leave Truman and Bess in the RV, and the whole time she could tell I was panicking because I would literally worry, what if the power went out and if it was hot out? And now with us having the Waggle, number one, the alerts are immediate. I mean, the minute the power goes out or the temperature is exceeded, we have it set up to where we get emails, we get text messages. You can have up to 5 different lines attached to it. And so we don't have to worry, but I still worry. And what I love about the Waggle is with their app, I can literally go in anytime I want and see the exact temperature of our RV and know that the power is on. So we absolutely love it. It's just made peace of mind for us traveling with these guys. We don't have children. These are our children. And we know many of you feel the same way about your fur babies. So, but let's get right into what we're talking about today, Patty. And what's the number one question we typically get from new RVers?
Well, new RVers want to know what essentials do they need when they get started, like what things they need to use, essential stuff.
Yeah. So you go out, you buy an RV, you think, wow, I've invested a lot of money. Let's go camping. And the truth is that's really just the beginning, sadly. But what I always like to caution new RVers is there's only a few items you really need to purchase right up front to get going. Once you're out there and you're RVing, you're camping, then you'll begin to really understand what it is you do need. So a good example is we toted around a patio mat over 9,000 miles this summer.
Didn't use it.
Didn't use it once. Okay. So a lot of people, when they buy an RV, they're actually like, oh, we got to buy a camping mat. Maybe you don't, because maybe it's not what you need. So these are 5 things that Patty and I feel like you really do need for that first outing. And the first thing on the list is you're going to need a drinking water hose. So you need that because you have to have a way to get fresh water into your RV, whether you're going to have it directly hooked up through what's known as the city outlet, or whether you're going to fill your fresh water tank. Now, what I recommend is buy 2 smaller hoses to carry with you, because sometimes people will go out and they'll buy like a 50-foot hose. You may not need 50 feet. And so, for instance, we're in a 23-foot travel trailer. And so I carry 2 25-foot hoses. Patty, how many times did I have to use the second hose this summer?
I'm thinking not many. Maybe once.
0. Not even once. 25 foot was enough. But the reason we carry that second 25-foot hose, just in case, because you just never know when you get to campsites. Every now and then you'll get some campsite where the water spigot is located so far away. But that's one of my suggestions, is go with 2 smaller hoses. And then that way, if you don't need the second hose, you can just keep it stowed away, that type of thing. The other thing going along with that, Patty,
is our water pressure regulator, so that when you're in a shower, you have good pressure, like when you're trying to wash your hair, especially like for me. So I like to get the soap out. So,
but at the same time, you don't want that pressure too high, because if you do, you could potentially blow out. Not so much the water lines. Most RVs today are made with a product called PEX that can handle really high water pressures. The problem you get into is your actual connections, those little plastic fittings in between the PEX and the actual faucets. And that's where, if the pressure is too high at the RV park, you could actually damage your water systems and end up flooding. So that's why it'll give you the pressure that Patty wants when she's taking her shower, washing her hair, but at the same time, it's going to regulate it so that it doesn't go beyond, let's say, maybe 50 or 60 PSI. And you just really want to protect your RV. It is an investment from the standpoint you've spent a lot of money on it, so you want to make sure it's okay. The third thing that we recommend
Is a sewer hose.
Yeah.
I need one of those.
because you're going to be filling up
Yeah.
your black tank and your gray tank, and there's going to come a point where you're going to need to empty those tanks. And so I highly recommend that you do spend a little extra money to get a quality sewer hose. Now, when you first buy an RV, a lot of times dealerships will give you like a little welcome box that'll have a small water hose and a very cheap sewer hose. Number one, typically the water hose is not large enough to actually work for you. So you're going to need to buy a better one of those. And the sewer hoses tend to be pretty cheap.
Right.
So because you're dealing with gray and black waste, I always spend a little bit more money on my sewer hoses just so that I know they're not going to get small leaks and things like that.
We need a surge protector. We learned that early on. We need that for the power, just in case there's a power surge.
Yeah, I think for years we didn't even think we needed a surge protector, and we just thought it was like something you spend extra money on. But the truth is, a surge protector is really important because again, you have invested money in your RV, and so you want to make sure that number one, if you go into a campground and you plug in, you want to make sure that you're plugging into good electricity. And that's one of the major functions of the surge protector. You plug a surge protector in, and it's going to give you the green light on whether or not you should go ahead and plug your RV in. And then the other thing it will do is it will help to protect if you have unstable electricity to where potentially you could fry some of your internal electrical systems.
Like during a storm or something.
Yeah. So those do range in price. You can, I've seen surge protectors as low as about $100. Understand though, those are pretty basic, and all they're really going to do for the most part is let you know if it's safe to plug your trailer in. This is where, again, I would recommend spending a little bit extra money because, again, you want to protect your trailer. We use one called the Hughes Autoformer Watchdog. There's several out there. We spent about $230, so it's not a cheap item.
We want to protect our rig.
Exactly, and so it truly will hopefully protect the internal electrical wiring on our trailer and all those sensitive systems. The other nice thing I love about it is with our particular one, we can Bluetooth to my phone, and we can know exactly how much energy we are using at any given time, and that way we don't overload our RV and potentially cause circuit breakers to pop. And then, Patty, what's the last thing?
The last thing we would recommend would be leveling wheel chocks. Those have been a godsend for us because we get in weird situations because we like to boondock and go out in national forests and things like that, and it's not always level. So those really help us get the rig level as much as we can. So we love those. Yeah, and honestly, leveling systems and wheel chocks can be as simple as, from a leveling standpoint, you could carry wood blocks that you could place under your left or right tires to help level your trailer from left to right, or you could use the Lego blocks that a lot of people have, either the big yellow or orange ones. We actually really enjoy using a product called the Anderson leveling system, which incorporates both the leveler with the wheel chock. Now the wheel chocks are kind of important because you don't want to roll.
You don't want to unconnect your RV from your tow vehicle and then potentially have it roll one way or the other. So make sure you always, from a safety standpoint, chock those wheels to keep it from rolling. But those are the 5 essentials that we really feel like for that first outing you need. And then once you get out there RVing, then you'll start to realize, there's going to be some other things you're going to want. But once you're out there, you'll begin to understand what works for you.
Well, that way you just don't go out and buy a bunch of stuff that you don't need.
Right, like patio mats that we never use. Now, some people love patio mats, but for our RVing style, and I think that's the key, everybody has a different style for RVing.
Right, different needs and what works for them and what they want, so, and how they want their experience to be. So. And
honestly, if you're traveling with pets, I would add 5B to the list, or maybe it should be number 1, and it is the Waggle. And I'm not saying that just because we're here with Waggle, but honestly, it truly has changed what we're able to do with Truman and Bass, and at the same time free us up to maybe go out to dinner or go do a little sightseeing.
Give them a break, because I think sometimes they need a break.
They do need a break from us sometimes.
They do. So.
You can tell right now they need a break. They're tired.
Yeah, they're tired.
So those are the 5 essentials. We have a couple videos on our YouTube channel about that. And ultimately, all we're really trying to do is just help new RVers spend their money wisely. Because again, after you just went and bought a new RV, and then you realize, wow.
Well, I just remember the first time I reviewed that the stuff is just overwhelming. you think you need everything,
Yeah.
and you don't. So.
We didn't need those flamingo lights.
No, we didn't need those.
All right, what's the second question we get a lot?
We get, what do I need to boondock? So what do you need to do that? Like, how does
So-
that work?
Yeah, so if you're not familiar with boondocking or dry camping, it's a style of camping where if you're not going to be plugged into electricity, you're not going to have water to plug into or a sewer. It's a style of camping, and it can range anything from, a lot of times when we're traveling, we will stop at Cracker Barrels for the night if we just need a place to sleep. Technically, that's a form of dry camping or boondocking. Or it could be going out on government land and staying out like we have done before for 3 or 4 nights. And again, we would have no services available, no electric, no water, no sewer. So some people have absolutely no desire to do boondocking.
We actually enjoy it. It's usually one of our most enjoyable camping experiences. I can think in my head a few of them. Usually they're quieter locations for us, and they're more out in the woods, which we like. And they're just real fun for us. And we figured out over the years how to make it work. So
the two biggest issues or things that you need to identify for those overnight experiences where you're going to be dry camping is really comes down to, number one, it has to do with your water systems. You're going to need to remember to fill up your fresh water tank, because again, there's going to be no place to get fresh water. And then you're going to have to conserve that water so you don't end up filling up your gray and black tank.
Right. So we've learned, you do the Navy showers where you don't use a lot of water that way. If we use our real dishes, we try to only like wash the dishes like at one point in the day, or we use, the throwaways. So that kind of thing. And we just try to make sure we're very careful about how much water we are using when we're boondocking.
Absolutely. The other side of it is on a power management standpoint. Now, some items in an RV you can run off of propane, and anytime we can run off propane, we will do that when we're boondocking. So for instance, our furnace, if we need heat, if it's colder camping, that's going to run off of that propane. In our RV, our refrigerator can run off propane. Your lights are going to run, no, I'm sorry, your lights are not. That would be pretty good.
That would be cool, yeah.
If you could do that. But look at your systems and see what you can run off. Things like your stove, your oven, your water heater, those are all going to run off propane. And depending on how many propane tanks you have on your RV, you may or may not have to worry about managing that. Then your 12-volt system, which is your battery system, that's going to run things like the lights in the trailer, your water pump, possibly your radio, your TV, entertainment systems, things like that. Now, again, this is where people sometimes start asking me questions like, Patrick, do I need to upgrade to lithium batteries? Do I need to upgrade to solar and things like that? And a lot of times I have to ask lots of questions to know what the right answer is, because a good example is if you're going to go boondocking and you want to run things off of the 110 system where you plug into an outlet, you're going to need an inverter. Okay, you have to have a way to convert battery power into 110 current. Now, Patty likes.
I love the inverter, and we are very fortunate that in our camper they set up every outlet to be able to go to the inverter so that I can blow dry my hair, because I need to blow dry my hair every day because I have short hair. So I like to wash it every day, and I like to blow dry it. So that has been a godsend for me. So that's really helped, and with that it works.
Yeah, and we can also run our microwave, for instance, off of our inverter. So that can be one thing. But again, remember that inverter is tied to your batteries, and depending on how many batteries you have and what type, that's something to keep in mind. Another way to supply that same type of 110 power, though, would be with a generator. So we carry a portable generator with us when we travel, a Honda 2200. And with that generator, we could run things like our air conditioner, which we could not run with our setup off of our batteries in our RV. It would also be a way to help us recharge. So,
and also, honey, isn't our solar a way that we also recharge?
Absolutely. We actually have 2 solar panels on our RV, 380 watts.
To help recharge things like that for the
Absolutely.
batteries when we're out boondocking.
And we also have 200 amp hours of lithium battery.
Exactly.
But here's the thing you have to remember if you're thinking about upgrading your RV to systems like solar and lithium, is it can get very expensive. Lithium batteries run about $1,000 a piece. And in our case, we have 2 of them, and lots of RVers that we know that do a lot of boondocking, they will actually end up going with somewhere between 3 and 5 of those lithium batteries. Solar, our solar system ended up costing over $2,000, and our inverter was $1,800. So you can see where slowly these systems can really get expensive. And that's why I always ask these questions, like, how many nights are you planning to boondock? Because if you're just wanting to stop, let's say, on a trip overnight at a Cracker Barrel, it's going to be one night and then you're going to be back in an RV park. I wouldn't recommend investing in solar and lithium batteries. In fact, we started off with neither. We had our very first boondocking experience years ago. We had a portable solar panel from Harbor Freight, and we had 2 basic batteries that you get in an RV, a lead acid battery. And I did install a small 1,000-watt inverter myself, and we used that for a whole summer. And but again, it was primarily because we were only maybe doing one night here, one night there. But then if you find that you're really enjoying the boondocking experience, then, and you're doing it more often, that's when you may want to look at upgrading generators and solar panels and inverters. But just understand, not everybody may enjoy the boondocking experience, so I would not necessarily rush out and immediately say, hey, we need solar on our RV.
Right, definitely.
So, and then finally, the last question, and this one we've been getting for the last year, well, really year and a half, is,
to be like, Patrick and Patty, how do you find campsites during the pandemic? Because that's what we did this summer. We were out and camping.
Yeah, and as you know, there's been a huge surge in RV sales over the last year and a half, and so there's lots more RVs, but there haven't been a lot more campgrounds opening. There have been some, but not enough to keep up. So this summer we decided to go east, which we thought was going to be crazy because out east there's not nearly as many campgrounds, and there's hardly any government land out east compared to out west. And in the end, it ended up working out great for us.
We were very fortunate. We found everything we needed when we wanted it.
So what I recommend is consider all options when you're looking for places to stay. And when I say consider all options, I mean, let's say you normally prefer to stay at commercial RV parks with full hookups. If you can't find one available, then look elsewhere. Look at things like Corps of Engineer parks. Those are some of our favorites.
Ours are so beautiful, and they have a lot of amenities that you wouldn't think.
Yeah, like electricity.
Or washer and dryers area, so that's like a laundry.
Yep.
So yeah.
State and national parks are some of our favorites.
Oh, yeah.
National forests. One of my favorite places we ever stayed was a fairground in Kalispell, Montana, where you could actually, for I want to say it was $20 a night, and you had electricity. They had water that you could fill up your tanks with. But we also do things like the Harvest Host program or Boondockers Welcome. But just be open to different types of RV camping experiences. That will help you find places to stay. The second thing is
to expand your search area, because we wanted to be near Acadia National Park, and we couldn't get into the national park this summer, so we had to go outside of the park some miles, and I forget exactly where, but we were away from the park.
We were in Ellsworth, Maine. We ended up staying at a private campground, which we were so glad that ended up happening. It was a wonderful campground, 30 minutes from Bar Harbor, but it was also only about 30 minutes from some of those quaint coastal Maine towns. And so in our case, initially we thought being right on Mount Desert Island would be where we wanted to be, but when we couldn't find anything, we moved a little farther away. Not only did we find a wonderful place to stay, but it actually positioned us to really explore coastal Maine, and it was a lot less expensive.
Exactly.
So just be willing to look outside. You may have your heart set on one specific town, but sometimes if you just move that out a little bit, you'll find places.
And be persistent in checking on where you want to be, because you kept doing that. You kept keep looking and looking and looking, and we finally find what we wanted in that area. So yeah, you just kept checking.
Yeah,
always something comes open usually for us.
A good example is we love staying at Disney's Fort Wilderness Resort, and typically it books up a year in advance. And quite honestly, we don't think about where we're going a year in advance. We're last minute people. So what I typically will do is I will check it every day. I'll just go on the computer first thing in the morning, because usually that's when most campgrounds open up any cancellations. And you know what? You may go several weeks without, and then all of a sudden one morning you'll wake up and there's your site available. but it's that persistence. So
Well, sometimes you get those last minute cancellations, which happens around here when we want to camp like on the weekends during work time, like right now. And so those last minute cancellations open up for us, and which makes it a good thing for us to get into where we want to be.
if you know a specific campground you want to be at, go find out what the last possible day to cancel is for somebody to get their money back, because I guarantee you there will be a cancellation on that particular date. So if you have to cancel 7 days prior, figure out what 7 days prior is to your arrival date and be prepared to look for those cancellations. And Patty's right. We typically don't book more than a day or two in advance for our weekend trips around here. And like right now, if I'm looking for next weekend, probably the place I want to go is full, but I'll just keep checking and we'll get one.
We usually do, yeah.
And then
we also learned this summer to call direct, because we were near Gulf Shores, Alabama, and we wanted to be at I think it's called the state park.
Yeah, Gulf Shores State Park, I believe.
And I was looking online as he was driving, and I was doing the checking it out, trying to find the site, and I couldn't. And we remember someone gave us the clue earlier in this season to call. So I went, hey, we better call. So we called, and they had more than just one. So we got very lucky. We found something that way. So I just called. Yeah, got in.
So if it's saying no online, don't be hesitant to pick up the phone if you have that ability to call directly to their camp store or whatever. And we've done that on multiple occasions where something was completely full online. We called directly. They asked us what size trailer we had, and they were able to get us a reservation. So yes, there's a lot of people out there RVing right now, but you can still find places to camp. In fact, this summer when we left for our 8-week trip, we only had about 45% of the nights booked ahead of time, and we were a little nervous.
A little hesitant, yeah.
And we never once had an issue finding a place to stay this summer.
It worked out.
Yeah, that worked out fine. It was just a matter of being open and being persistent and that type of thing, and it worked out. So that's the 3 big questions we've been getting over the last year, and hopefully that will help you out. And as pet owners, just know that, like I said, we started RVing 16 years ago because we had our first fur baby named Maddie, and we were having a hard time back then finding places, hotels that were decent, that were pet friendly, and we said maybe we ought to buy an RV, and that's how we started RVing. And honestly, having your pets with you and being in the RV, to us, they're part of our family.
Exactly. I wouldn't go if I can't take them.
It's always been our philosophy. If they can't go, we don't go.
We figure out something else.
Yeah. And like I said, it was always kind of one of those things that a lot of times we just didn't go out to eat or we didn't go do things on our own because we were worried. And when we were introduced to the Waggle last year, it's a game changer. So, and honestly, sometimes we will have subscribers say, well, if there's a monthly fee for the cellular side. And I'm always like, yeah, but we go to Starbucks. We'll probably go to Starbucks this evening. We'll spend $9 at Starbucks for 2 beverages.
Yeah.
Is it, and we look at it as, it's a really small price to pay to keep these guys safe and for us to allow us the peace of mind to be able to travel.
They're safe and they're secure and they're good to go. I can leave them alone. So.
So Noreen, that's what we have, and if anybody has questions, we'd love to answer them.
Yeah, thank you, Patrick and Patty, and thank you for everybody who's been listening in and sent in your questions. We are going to go through a few, so Patrick and Patty, please stay on so we can get to those questions. But first, we're going to we have another short video that we're going to play for everybody. Okay, so I want to get to the questions, but I just want to remind everyone first about our grand prize today, the $1,000 worth Waggle kit. So this is going to include a 1 free pet monitor 4G, 1 free Waggle cam, a Nomad subscription, 1 year free vet session, and a lifetime premium Waggle event pass, and a $15 worth Amazon gift card. So now for the questions. Our first question is, for a first-time RVer, what are common problems in an RV that that people should be ready for?
The sad part is with the RVs, I always tell people, it doesn't matter how much you spend on an RV, you're going to have some issues, but that's okay. As RVers, we work through them. And one of the best things about camping and RVing is when you go to campgrounds and things like that, it's a community. The minute you pull in, there will be people there willing to help you if you have a problem. I always say, when we used to stay in hotels, if you walked down the hall of a hotel and said hello to somebody, they'd think they would run from you. They'd wonder why you were talking to them. In a campground, people are so friendly and helpful. So it's hard to say what your problems will be, but just know that there's a community of RVers out there willing to help you. And if you just ask, somebody will help you. I think, for the first time RVer, sometimes it can be as simple as when you're hooking your trailer up, not realizing that, I get this question sometimes. I'll have new RVers reach out and say, we're at the campground right now, we have no power to our trailer. And sometimes what it is, it's as simple as they plug their RV into the pedestal and they didn't realize there was a circuit breaker that they had to turn on. And so, but it's just simple things like that. You definitely want to make sure when you first get your RV, the first few times, constantly be looking for leaks. Open up your cabinets at the kitchen sink and look to make sure all the pipes are good and tight and not leaking. Because remember, you're going down the road. These things are like moving earthquakes, okay? You're bouncing, and so fittings can come loose. And so it's not uncommon for new RVs. Sometimes maybe they just didn't get those hoses tight enough on the kitchen sink or the bathroom sink. And if you're if you're aware of that and you're on the lookout, that's something I would keep an eye on, because obviously water can do a lot of damage.
Thanks. And so our second question is, are there any safety issues when traveling outdoors, and things to carry or be prepared while traveling?
Safety. Well, yeah,
Be aware of your surroundings.
Yeah, that's a good one, Patty.
Just be alert and aware, and be go with your instincts. I remember one time, because we don't do a lot of Walmart boondocking anymore, just because it seemed a little louder there than Cracker Barrel. Plus, you get food at Cracker Barrel. But one time we pulled into one, and we just both looked at each other and had this, just didn't feel right. We thought something's just odd here. So we just went down the road a little ways to another one.
Found another Walmart, and it felt safe. So gut instinct is one thing. Know the area you're going to and what particular hazards there may be. Good example, if you're going out west, let's say to Yellowstone or Grand Tetons Glacier, you're in bear country, grizzly bear country. So you're going to want to carry bear spray with you. If you're going to be doing hiking, you're going to want to make sure you definitely keep your pets close to you and on a leash, because again, even in Yellowstone National Park, it's not uncommon for grizzly bears to wander right through the campground. So it's just
be aware of where you're at.
Yeah, if you're hiking in the east, for instance, on the Appalachian Trail, be aware of things like rattlesnakes. Again, keep your pets close to you. Be aware of those. So I think a lot of it is, before we go to an area, we try to find out what could be some of the possible hazards. The other thing is, make sure you're carrying a first aid kit in your RV, have necessary supplies with you, Band-Aids and things like that.
And over the years, as we've traveled, it's just something I just started doing myself, is just as we go, I'm looking for pet veterinary clinics or pet hospitals that are nearby, just in case I need assistance with these guys. So
yep, that's Patty always does that. If we're going to an area, she's like, I found an emergency pet hospital just in case there would be an issue. She's already looking for where that would be. The other thing you should be aware of is your weather. Depending on where you're going and what time of the year, weather could be a situation. We always carry a weather radio with us so that we can be alerted if there are severe thunderstorms, tornadoes. This summer, we actually had to dodge a couple of the tropical storms, hurricanes that came through the southeast. So be aware of your weather at all times.
Great. And our last question is, what if there's a technical issue with the RV on the way? And is there any roadside assistance available with AAA or other companies?
Yeah, and so you can do roadside assistance. There's different options for that, everything from the Good Sam's Club to AAA. I had somebody the other day reach out and say, do you pay for the Good Sam towing? Which we do not. We are Good Sam's Club members, but we do not pay the additional fee for the towing. And the answer for that is because we have towing through State Farm, who is our insurance provider for both our RV and our vehicle. One of the things I highly recommend, though, on like the towing is make sure you talk to your insurance agent, because in our case with State Farm, we have to have towing both on our tow vehicle and we also have to have it on the RV, which was something I did not know until I sat down with our agent and we were discussing it. And so before, I just assumed if you had towing on your tow vehicle,
You were set.
you were set. And come to find out, no, they would have towed our tow vehicle had we broke down, but they would not have covered the trailer. So now we carry that coverage on both. But there are lots of different programs out there that you can look at, find out which one's best for you, and you may be able to do it through your insurance, your auto insurance.
Correct. Yep.
Great. Okay, thank you so much, Patrick and Patty. We're going to now go into our second set of giveaways. So our first winner in this second part is Tom Carver, and you get the cool and awesome Waggle pet camera and feed dispenser. So congratulations, Tom. We hope you love the gift, and we'll reach out to you after the event to get your shipping information so we can send you the gift. Our second winner is Leslie Carver, and you get the Waggle Pet Monitor. So congratulations, Leslie. We also hope you love the gift, and we're going to reach out to you after the event so that we can get your shipping address to send you the gift. So now we're going to have another poll. Okay, and we have one final video, and then we're going to soon go into our final giveaway. All right, so I hope everyone here had fun hearing new things from our speakers, and I know I definitely did. The clock is ticking, and RVing Gears is coming to an end, but worry not, there's going to be more events like this in the upcoming months to connect, learn, and have fun, so stay tuned. But now we're going to move on to our most exciting and final giveaway of the event. And our grand winner is Joe McKay. So congratulations, Joe. You are the most lucky attendee of the event. You'll have your $1,000 free Waggle gift kit, which is going to include the Waggle cam and the pet monitor, the free vet session, and the $50 Amazon gift card, and much more. So congratulations and enjoy and spread the Waggle bundle of joy. So thank you, everyone. We now have our Waggle CEO, Siva, who's going to say a few words and bring the event to a close. So over to you, Siva.
I got it. Sorry, guys. I had a little bit of a problem. I had muted myself and then was trying to figure out how to unmute. Thanks, Noreen, and I think a special thanks to our speakers, Patrick, Patty, Rachel, Nate, and Matt. I think you guys were awesome. We learned a lot, and I hope everyone enjoyed the sessions. And I think we're going to have more such sessions in the future. So please check out mywaggle.com for the upcoming events. And as the theme of the event goes, right, unlocking the outdoors. So wherever the love for pets or RVing or the outdoors take you, Waggle is out there, always giving peace of mind, right? So we invite you to join our mission in keeping pets safe, fit, and cared for, okay? So thanks once again, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your weekend. And until we see you in the next event, bye-bye, everyone. Thank you.